Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. We have a full moon in Gemini on the 27th of November. We know the drill with these full moons. They can illuminate things for us, certainly with regards to our emotions and feelings, because it's the moon. And also it's lunar energy that supports us releasing. So looking at the transits of this one, very interesting, and I'll come on to that in a bit, of course. I will share the chart and I will also bring up the UK's chart just to give a collective view based on the house system there to give some context. But let's rewind a bit. We're in Sagittarius season now. So we've moved from the water season of Scorpio, which has a bit of fire to it, in my view, because it goes deep. So we've come out of the depths of Scorpio and we're now into the fire energy of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is a mutable sign, which means there is more flow to the energy. Fire energy can allow us to really take inspired action towards certain things, okay? So what we've been learning up to this point and where we might need to take action, this energy allows us to do it. And Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so that offers great expansive opportunity and potential for that inspired action that we want to take. Mars is now in Sagittarius, so that's giving us the masculine drive within us to have the courage to take the action that we want to. So we need to understand, yes, we're fired up to take action. We've still got some retrogrades going on, so there's still introspection happening. And I will mention that Mercury will be going retrograde mid-December on the 13th. Okay, so we're building up to that as well. And that can slow us down in terms of, what do we need to reflect on in terms of our thoughts and communications. Because this full moon is happening in Gemini, thoughts and communications are on the agenda. It's a full moon, okay, so there is emphasis on releasing. So we need to look at the shadow side of Mercury. Mercury rules Gemini. And that can bring trickster type energy, okay? So don't want you to be getting fearful about that word, but this is about where, within our thoughts and communications, where have we potentially been deceived by other people or even by ourselves? Okay, because we can do that ourselves quite easily, especially if fears and all of that comes up. And that's a natural thing, really, to be going through at this time of profound, deep transformation, because we're going through stuff, we're healing. So we might have even been deceiving ourselves or recognizing, again, with the illumination side of the full moon, where we have deceived ourselves, where we've held ourselves back from doing that which we know we're meant to be doing, for instance. So it's still quite an intense period, and full moons, if you're sensitive to lunar energy, can be very intense because there is a purging element to this, but it's all for our highest good, okay? And it enables us to then release what we need to set the intentions going forward ready for the next new moon, okay? So that's about our manifestations, new beginnings, of course. Now, let's go back to that word trickster, okay? And for me, when I looked at the transits of this full moon, and I will pull up the chart, don't worry, I'll bring that up in just a sec. When I looked at the transits, there was shadow written all over this. If that word triggers you in any way, then that's an indication that you need to develop some recognition about what shadow means, okay, to yourself. We all have a shadow side. Our shadow never lies to us. We need to be at one with our shadow. It can be uncomfortable because of the fact that our shadow never lies to us, but can highlight those deep inner fears, what we're afraid of, where our anxieties lie, perhaps behavioural patterns that are not serving us. Our shadow will illuminate that for us. So there could be this heightening of illumination of shadow aspects. You've heard me talk about Lilith in many other astrology reports, and Lilith is an asteroid that represents feminine energy, but the dark feminine energy. And by that I mean shadow side, okay? There's light and dark in everything. That's reality. So Lilith is a great teacher because she will show us these things. For this particular full moon, Neptune is opposite Lilith, Why are you mentioning that, Kirsty? You might be wondering. Well, Neptune, the planet that rules Pisces, ethereal, magical, mystical, helps us get in line with our, our spiritual essence, gets in touch with our intuition, very, very mystical, alerts us to things via our intuition, because of Neptune being way out there, is at home in Pisces, and really can give us that sort of inner sense of who we are on the soul level. And Neptune is in Pisces along with Saturn. So Saturn is calling for us to get in alignment with our spiritual truth. So the Neptunian energy is assisting that at the moment. Neptune is in retrograde until the 6th of December. So that introspection. We need to look at the shadow side of Neptune. And what is that? Illusion, confusion, deception. So that word's come up again, deception. Neptune is opposite Lilith, offering us that shadow side, okay, to teach us. But this could be where deceptive situations are coming up to the surface, and we need to put Mercury in the mix here, because of course the full moon is happening in Gemini, ruled by Mercury. So that's why we look at the trickster type energy that Mercury can bring, because it's the shadow side. Okay, so where in our thoughts and communication with others, from others to ourselves, could have been deceptive in whatever way. And it's not to say that it's hugely deceptive, from a kind of terrifying aspect. This is about, if anybody, or even ourselves, if we've been telling ourselves stuff to deter us from our spiritual path, okay, to distract us from what we're meant to be doing, out of fear, jealousy, whatever it might be, that's trickster type energy. And we can do that to ourselves through that self-deception, okay? So that's why I'm saying it doesn't always have to be another person or a group of people. It can be ourselves as well. So take it as it resonates. But fears could be coming up. We could be telling ourselves this story of, well, I can't do that. I've never been good at doing that, so therefore I'm not going to do it. Well, we're deceiving ourselves, okay? So the full moon might be illuminating this. Other people might be telling you, you can't do that because of X, Y, and Z. You need to be doing this. And it's like, but inside, what brings you that joy, that Venus energy that I've also spoken about, many times before, where you're investing your resources and where you're getting that reciprocal energy back, where that is, who that's with, whatever it might be. Someone else comes along, tells you something, well, let's use some discernment at this moment in time. Why are they telling me this? Is it for my highest good? Is it to deter me from my path? So it's looking at all of that, and that full moon might be illuminating something like that for you. Okay, it might not. It's not going to resonate with everybody. Okay, this is a collective report. Okay, and it can explain. Certainly, when I look at the transits, it can explain. It can give an indication why we might be feeling challenges in these areas. Okay, and I use my intuition to interpret what I see. So this is about, could we be deceiving ourselves in a situation? Have we been deceiving ourselves? Have we been sabotaging ourselves because of fears, doubts, anxieties? We recognize that. We get in touch with our shadow side. We heal that aspect of ourselves, and then we can move forward. Okay, so this is helping us within the Sagittarius season of expansion, because we're on a quest. Sag rules the 9th house. In astrology, that's all about the journey and what we're learning about the journey. It's got a spiritual essence to it as well, because as I mentioned, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Jupiter was the original ruler of Pisces. So there is a massive spiritual essence to this. Okay, so we need to look at all of these things. So what I'll do, I will pull up the chart and we'll go into it in a bit more detail. Okay, but essentially it's a big full moon. Okay, it's a big full moon. Let me just find the chart. And it's helping illuminate things, but it's also enabling us to release where we know there's been, deceptive energy and so on. Okay, here we go then, folks. So we have got the full moon in Gemini. So for us in the UK, this is happening at 9:16 a.m. Monday, 27th of November. Okay, apply your own time zones as appropriate, and you'll be seeing the moon getting fuller. You know, I'm recording this on the 26th. So tonight for us in the UK, it's going to possibly look full, you know, but the fullest point is tomorrow at 9:16. So other people, wherever you are in the world, and it's nighttime, when that happens, of course, that's going to be the full moon. But this energy lingers, you know, for a couple of days either side, so we can work with it in that way. And this is why you might have been feeling this build up to it, okay, in terms of what you might need to release or what has been revealed to you slowly over this period of time. Okay, and it might be stuff that you're already aware of, but of course, this is like confirmation that, you know, the clarity that can come through from the Mercury energy as well, the clarity of where deception might have been playing a part in whatever way. Okay, so here we have the moon, 4 degrees of Gemini, and a full moon is always opposite the sun in the opposite sign. Okay, so there we have the sun, 4 degrees Sagittarius. And this is just to show the transits as an event. When I pull up the UK's chart, that will give more context to the house system. You can do the same for your own natal chart. That's going to give you a better idea of where all of this is playing out for you. Okay, so we have got the moon. I mentioned Neptune and Lilith in opposition. So here you go. There's Neptune in Pisces, and it's not a direct opposition. There's 1 degree difference, but Lilith there in Virgo. So there is an opposition, and both of them are in retrograde. Okay, so that's really allowing us, and has been allowing us, to go within when it comes to the shadow. Lilith in Virgo, you know, we want to get things in order when it comes to our shadow aspects, but we want to feel like we're in control as well, because that's also Virgo energy. We want to have some kind of structure to our lives, and that might be even causing us to sabotage, you know. So we need to look at all of it. We need to look at the qualities of all of this, and it's important when you look at a chart against another chart, as I'll show you, and you're looking at the house, you're looking at the sign that a planet or an asteroid is in, and the aspects. This is what tells you the bigger picture of everything, okay, and why astrology is so fascinating. Neptune, of course, there in Pisces. So yes, 24 degrees. They're both, you know, in those later degrees, which can also be harsh and challenging. Okay, so this is introspection on that shadow side coming up, and if we're aware of it, we can allow that energy to work together in harmony. So we understand what shadow aspects are coming up: fears, anxieties, doubts, wounds, you know, self-limiting beliefs, all of that, and how that could be illuminating for us at the time of this full moon, where we've been hard on ourselves, where we've actually been deceiving ourselves, or where others might have been putting those thoughts in our mind that we're not good enough. Yeah, so looking at it, and that can relate to past stuff, okay, but it might be coming to the surface now because of the profound transformation that we've all been going through. Okay, it's the realization of that, and that could be quite uncomfortable, because it's like, whoa, okay, but remember, it's all for our highest good, because once we're aware of it, we receive that clarity, it's been illuminated to us, we can then release, but we need to acknowledge it first, because that's what enables us to become more wise. We can't just brush it off, sweep it under the carpet, as it were, because it's going to come back around. Remember, Saturn's in Pisces, wants us in alignment with our spiritual truth, wants us to learn the lessons here. So we need to learn the lessons, otherwise the lessons are going to repeat. Okay, the patterns are going to repeat. So we've got that going on with Neptune, of course. Now, there's also a square to Neptune from Mercury. So the full moon's in Gemini, ruled by Mercury. So we need to look at Mercury. Mercury is in Sag, 24 degrees. So there is a square, and I've drawn it just on the other side because I didn't want to crisscross my other lines too much, but you can see it if you look into the circle, you can see the square going across. Mercury is in square to Neptune. Mercury is also in square to Lilith. Okay, So this is why I'm saying there is shadow written all over this. Okay, squares can represent challenging aspects within astrology. So Mercury, communication and thoughts. Yes, it can relate to travel and technology, but this here is what I'm feeling is to do with our thoughts and communication. Mercury, the planet that rules thoughts and communication, is in square to Lilith, the shadow side. So challenges coming up around the shadow element when it comes to our thoughts and communication. And it's also in square to Neptune, the planet that is ethereal. But if we're looking at a square and the challenging energy, we need to look at the shadow side. Deception, illusion, confusion. So deceptive communication, deceptive thoughts. Where our fears, anxieties and doubts from that Lilith energy might have also been clouding our thoughts and our communication. This is intense when it comes to the shadow side, as I mentioned. This is why when I looked at this, I was like, shadow, there is just shadow all over this chart. Okay. And this isn't to say this is bad, but squares show us where the challenging energy can be. Well, of course, if we're suddenly realizing and understanding that we've been deceiving ourselves for all this time because we've been telling ourselves a story that is not true about ourselves, about someone else, then that's going to be a bit of a whoosh, isn't it? That's going to be a kind of reality check. It's going to give us the clarity, Gemini energy, but, you know, it's going to be an illumination. So it's going to reveal something. Oh, I've been telling myself that and I've got that wrong. Or that person has been telling me that for all this time. And now I've received the clarity as to why. It was all about putting me in a state of confusion. It was all about putting me in a state of illusion. It was all about putting me in a state of deception. Okay. So this is what can be coming up. The full moon is happening in Gemini, folks. Okay. So Gemini, this is looking at something from two sides of it. Okay. So all of this that's being revealed and illuminated could be allowing you to look at something from both sides and understanding the truth through the deception. Okay. And this can be applied collectively, globally, and personally, because it all starts with us. We are part of the collective. It all starts from us, you know, as within, so without. And that's extremely true because our internal condition is reflected back to us in our external reality. Our thoughts are what we manifest. Okay, even negative ones, we're going to get that back. The universe is going to respond to that. Okay, we're all powerful co-creators with the universe. Maybe we're just realizing that. And again, we're in Sagittarius season. This is a journey. This is a quest. We're learning about ourselves from a spiritual perspective. And it's like, wow, okay, I've realized I've been doing that. I've got that as a result. Perhaps I was a bit hard on myself. Perhaps I wasn't fair on myself. Perhaps I sabotaged that because I was too scared. And actually, I'm worth more than that now. I've realized that because of going through this healing journey, Chiron in Aries. I'm heading towards my purpose. I'm healing all this karma. I'm healing all this past life stuff. And now I'm getting all this illumination of truth when it comes to where deception might have played a part on your journey, our journey, and so on. Yeah. So it's big stuff in that respect. So our communication and thoughts need to be in line with our intentions. And our intentions, of course, need to be in alignment with our spiritual truth. So if we're manifesting from that place of divine alignment, okay, knowing what is right for us within the soul, and we want to manifest this for our new beginning, okay, our thoughts and communication need to be in line with that. If we wanted to manifest something as a new beginning and then our thoughts and communications are saying the opposite thing, of course, we're deceiving ourselves, aren't we? So that's a way of looking at it as well. We need to keep our thoughts positive and in tune with our spiritual truth. And worth and value is a lot, you know, relating to this as well. Of course, remember the Venus aspects that I've said many times before, you know, about our investments of resources, time, energy, money, love, affection. Where are we investing our resources in that way? Because all of our resources are valuable to us. Our energy is extremely valuable. Our love, our heart space, that's extremely valuable to us. Who are we investing that in? Are they investing it back? Okay, so it's looking at all of these aspects, and I'm getting quite passionate about this now, as you can tell, but this is a big one. This is a big one. And yes, we might need to look at things from two sides because of the moon, as I say. Now, I've gone on a bit there about Neptune, but that was important to mention. Neptune and Mercury, Lilith, okay, this is where the shadow side of it is coming up to help us understand through the illumination of the full moon what's been going on with deceptive energy, whether that is to do with what society is telling us is deceptive, what people are telling us, what we're telling ourselves. Okay, so we need to look at all of that. Okay, right, let's go back to the full moon, okay, and look at the aspects that that caught my attention. So we've got the moon, and the moon is in square to Saturn. Okay, so I've just mentioned Saturn about alignment with spiritual truth, but the moon is in trine to Pluto in Capricorn. So, you know, Saturn and Pluto are massive energies, as we know from what's been going on. So within our feelings and our emotions, the moon, all this karmic stuff, the karmic debris that we're having to sift through, that perhaps is showing us this or has enabled us to build up to this point of illumination of where deception might have been, has been challenging. So this is just an indication, as I look at this, that these lessons that we've had to go through have been challenging on our emotions and our feelings. Okay, that to me explains that square perfectly between Saturn and the moon. Okay, and that full moon is illuminating stuff. So it's illuminating where those lessons have been hard, because perhaps those lessons have involved a deceptive situation. But the beautiful trine, that green line there, going to Pluto, is saying that although it's been challenging, we've been getting through it, we've been processing this stuff, and that is and will facilitate the deep transformation. Okay, it has been doing that for some time, because as we evolve, we naturally transform. But, you know, our feelings, our emotions, the moon, our motivation to make these changes, yes, challenging because of the lessons we're having to learn, because of what's coming up to the surface, what karma might have been coming up to be cleansed, etc. But it is allowing this beautiful transformation on a deep soul level. This is scorpionic energy, and we've just been through Scorpio season. Okay, we've had eclipses to deal with. We've had all of this going on. So we're feeling more empowered now to transform what we need to, because of this illumination, because of what we're aware of. Because if we've been kind of believing that we're a certain way, because of what other people might have said to us in the past or recent past, you know, then that could have kind of dictated our path for us. And as we realize, and through this full moon, it may be illuminated vastly, that actually that was deceptive to throw us off our path, then that's going to empower us. It might be challenging within our emotions, as I say, the square to Saturn. So it might hurt a bit because that person you may have trusted. Okay. Or you might be hurting yourself because you're thinking, I've done that to myself. You know, I wanted to do this, and actually I've been telling myself I can't do it. And I've suddenly realized I've been deceiving myself. I've been sabotaging this beautiful opportunity, for example. That in itself is empowering us to move forward within our emotions, to be like, right, now the Gemini energy, I'm curious, I want to investigate further, I want to transform, okay, and I'm going to feel good about it, and I'm going to allow the Sagittarius season of expansion to enable me to expand in the way that I deserve to expand in my life, on my spiritual journey, on my quest, and for me to take action now towards the things I really want to do, because enough of this. So this is about the evolution, the deep transformation. And that's being inspired by whatever comes up, with this full moon, how we feel about what's been coming up, that's been illuminated to us in terms of deceptive situations, okay, or where sabotage might have been taking place. But also, you know, in terms of what we've been releasing and what we need to release, because that's going to enable us to transform. We can't take the old that doesn't serve us into the new because there's no energetic space. So again, that's why, you know, our feelings are going to enable us to move forward in that transformation. Okay. There's also a sextile with this purple line that I've drawn here between Jupiter, okay, and Jupiter is in Taurus, with Vesta in Cancer. So Vesta is that sacred flame energy, what sparks that sacred flame within, you know, and Jupiter, as I mentioned, rules Sagittarius, was the original ruler of Pisces, offers that great expansive energy. Jupiter is currently in retrograde, so there is an emphasis on inner growth, inner expansion. All of this that's coming up is offering inner expansion so that we can then expand externally. Because what did I just say? Our internal condition is reflected back to us in our external reality. Jupiter is in the sign of Taurus, worth and values. And Vesta, okay, is enabling that flow energy, okay, within Cancer. That is mutable. Sorry, it's not. That is cardinal energy. I'm thinking of the flow, okay, because it's a water sign. It's cardinal energy. So it enables you to get things started. So in terms of the energy that's in Sag with the sun, the soul essence, Mars wanting to get things done, we're becoming more empowered in terms of our transformation. We realize where we might need to talk fairly to ourselves and not deceptively to ourselves, or where we need to cut out communication with those that have been deceiving us so that we can follow that sacred flame energy. And Jupiter is allowing the inner expansion for us to feel confident enough to do that within our worth and values, because we've realized, okay, that was a deceptive situation. I've realized more of my worth now because of that illumination, and I'm going to move forward in that direction of the sacred flame energy because that makes me feel good. And in turn, that supports the Venus energy, and so on. Okay. There's also another thing that drew my attention, and I've not drawn a line, but we've got Uranus also in Taurus, of course, the planet of change, also in retrograde. Okay. And there is a trine that's going to both Lilith and Juno. So within potentially loving soulmate connections with that Juno energy, there could be great change that's facilitated from this shadow work, okay, because of Lilith being in the mix. And both Lilith and Juno, feminine energy, but one is light, one is shadow, as we know. So that balance between light and shadow and wanting to get things in order, Virgo energy, within soulmate connections is facilitating change. And that's as a result of our worth and values and how we're empowering ourselves through all of this that's been going on. Okay, so that's that. Let me now pull up the chart that shows the UK. Okay, let me just find that. Okay, and I'm not going to like go into too much detail about what I've just been saying because all that detail is there for you to refer back to. But what I will say is I was particularly drawn to a couple of things here. So the UK's chart is the inner wheel and the full moon is the outer wheel. Okay, so it's like a freeze frame of the cosmos at the time of the full moon. And this is where looking at your chart, okay, can give you that great inspiration and insight into how the planetary bodies are affecting you, could be influencing you, you know, at this time of the full moon. And I am offering my moon scopes. So there is a link in the description box to that if you're interested in a personalized horoscope, personalized moon scope. Okay, Goddess of Neptune moon scope for the full moon. Okay, and that's going to show you how the transits are playing out for you. But let's look at the UK's chart. Okay, so it's not going to resonate for everybody, of course. Here we have the moon, and the moon at the time of the full moon is in the 11th house of connections with other people. Okay, the sun is in Sag, in the opposite house, 5th house of love. The opposition between Lilith and Neptune is between the 3rd and the 9th house. 3rd house is the house of communication that is ruled by Gemini. The 9th house is the house of learning and discovery and the journey, the quest, ruled by Sagittarius. So isn't this interesting that just by those alignments, we've got like a cross going on? Because of course, the full moon is happening in Gemini and the sun is in Sag, and we've got both their houses in astrological terms in the mix as well with what's going on with Neptune and Lilith. So heavily to do with our connections with other people that could pertain to love. Not only that, this is about love for ourselves as well, because as we're discovering deceptive situations, okay, we need to be empowered in loving ourselves as well. But this could relate to loving connections with others, those that we're fond of, okay, it doesn't have to be romantic, and where this deceptive energy might be coming up. Again, could be from self-sabotage, okay? You might be in a loving connection, you might be sabotaging it yourself because of fears and doubts. You could be in a loving connection, somebody else might be trying to sabotage it because of jealousy, okay? So it's being mindful of where thoughts, communication, emotions and feelings are involved, and of course, our soul's essence, looking at all of those things. Now, you'll see that I've drawn a line here to indicate where Lilith is transiting through the 3rd house, okay, Gemini's house of communication and thoughts. Juno is also there. But Lilith is basically conjunct the UK's Lilith. Double whammy of shadow, okay, in the 3rd house of communication and thoughts. 2 degrees difference, but still a conjunction. Opposite Neptune. And look at that. Neptune is exactly conjunct the UK's Mercury. So this is where it's profound, folks. Okay, that shadow side of Neptune, the illusion, confusion, deception, is right on top of the planet that rules thoughts and communication in the 9th house of discovery. So what does that mean? We are discovering where others or ourselves have caused confusion, illusion, and deception through communication or through thoughts. And how that's tied into the shadow side, because maybe if it's other people and we've got these fears and doubts, they've played on that and that's enhanced the energy of deception. Okay, if it's ourselves self-sabotaging, then of course, yes, fears and doubts, that could be leading us to do that as well. So take it how it resonates. But wow, you know, Neptune 24 degrees on top of Mercury 24 degrees. We're discovering this, we're learning this, we're understanding where this is happening. 9th house. Okay, and this could be linked to connections with others. All right, it's not to say that somebody else is deceiving you through their thoughts and communications. It might be. But if there is, as I mentioned, a connection with another person or group of people, and somebody else is trying to sabotage that, deceptive communication might be at play, trickster energy. Okay, so take that as it resonates for you. This is why it's big, big. Okay. Now I did note down, because Neptune retrograde ends on the 6th of December. Okay, so there might be further clarity after that point where this might have been happening. We're building up to all of this. Mercury moves into Capricorn on the 1st of December. Okay, so, you know, within a few days after this full moon, of course, towards the end of the week. Venus moves into Scorpio on the 4th of December, so there's some depth to the Venus energy there, and also we've got the new moon coming up, so it's either going to be the 12th or the 13th of December, depending on where you are in the world. For us in the UK, it's on the 12th, and obviously I'm going to be doing a report nearer to the time, but the time of the new moon on the 12th of December for the UK is 23:32. Well, that's mirrored, isn't it? So this could relate to soulmate connections, okay? Obviously, I will, you know, come on to that. And when you reduce those figures down, it's 5-5. That's change. So change is coming, whether we like it or not, okay, as a result of all of this illumination. But we've got, you know, obviously I mentioned about Uranus being in Taurus, and Uranus is also in the 11th house, and, you know, there being that trine to Juno and Lilith, and that's in the 3rd house. So yes, this is facilitating change within, you know, loving soulmate connections through thoughts and communication, by understanding the shadow aspects that's coming up and what might be revealed in this full moon, you know, where deceptive behavior is being revealed. Okay, that's enabling change. That's enabling that transformation within a soulmate connection, potentially, because of the revelations of what's coming up from the shadow side. Okay, and also, you know, we've got, as we know, the moon there, and there was that square to Saturn and the trine to Pluto. Well, Pluto's in the 6th house, okay, and Saturn's in the 8th. So the challenge might be coming up when it comes to our empowerment of self, because of what's been coming up. That's where the challenging energy is. But ultimately, it's enabling us to change, to transform when it comes to how we're of service to others. 6th house, our daily routines and schedules, where they might need to change, you know, because that could involve a connection of some kind, a soulmate connection of some kind. You know, we're connecting with others in our daily routines, so, you know, it's going to facilitate that transformation. So there's a lot going on, as you can see, but I just want to remind you of this. This is profound, okay, and it's not to be taken lightly either. We have to understand the light and shadow to everything, okay. So from the light side of things with Neptune, okay, the spiritual, ethereal, magical, mystical, our intuition is also communicating to us, because Neptune is on top of the UK's Mercury. So our soul is communicating to us, and we are learning 9th house about where we've been deceived through communication or thoughts. The inner expansion that's happening from Jupiter is happening in the 10th house of inner authority, and the 10th house is also work. So this could be relating to a work situation that's been deceptive as well. Okay, so take that, you know, if it resonates as well. We might be becoming aware of communication that's been deceptive, or somebody trying to trick us in terms of getting us into a certain mindset, not believing in ourselves, whatever it might be. But this relates to our inner authority, and Jupiter is sharing the same house here with the North Node and Chiron. So it's assisting us on our healing journey and towards our purpose. So all of these revelations are actually enabling us to move forward more sovereign, more wise. But the discomfort could be coming from that revelation, okay, because it's the full moon. So it's emotions and feelings that relate to all of this, okay, that relate to these revelations. And I think that's all I kind of had down there, you know, that Jupiter sextile Vesta. Vesta is in the 12th house, yeah. So kind of that hidden sacred flame energy, you know, that maybe you've not felt like you've been able to pursue it because of whatever deception has been going on. Think of it like this kind of cloud, this mist of deception that either you've created for yourself out of fears and doubts and anxieties from the shadow side that's not been addressed, or from other people. Yeah, and it's the revelation of all of that. Be open to receive the wisdom that this full moon is going to provide you, but accept what comes up, okay, because it's all for our highest good, and it's all to enable us to release. All right, that's what I would say there. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I've got some cards. I just wanted to take some extra messages. Oh, and I did actually, I've got this book here, Shaman Derek, Spirit Hacking. It's absolutely amazing. I got it in 2020, the year that shall not be named. But I got it then, and absolutely amazing. One of the best books I've ever read. And there is a section in it that's actually called Take Responsibility. And within it, there is, you know, some kind of subsections relating to the shadow, okay, and shadow dancing, how we need to dance with our shadow in that way of becoming one. But I will just read this sentence. The shadow is the part of our being that is pure light and that holds on to the things that we are not taking responsibility for. Okay, and I'll just continue. The shadow holds on to our pain, our fragmentation, and our distorted belief systems. It holds on to our judgments, our vices, and all the lies we tell ourselves. So, have you been telling yourself a lie about something, someone, yourself? Have other people been doing it? But this is the shadow coming up. We need to take responsibility where we've deceived ourselves, okay? It could be that it's other people. It could be that it's ourselves. We need to focus on that. If we're in line with our shadow, we're in touch with our shadow, we're going to know, intuitively, we're going to know, is that coming from within or is that coming from without? You know, it's coming from external, other people, other situations, society, whatever it might be. So yeah, I would recommend getting that if you're drawn to that. Amazing. Yeah, I've had it 3 years. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Okay, let's take some cards. Queen of the Moon, Oracle, seeing as it's a full moon. So let's go sovereign on this and let's see what we have. Okay, for the collective, please, for the full moon in Gemini. What does the collective need to know? Collective need to know on this full moon. Okay, we've got change, came out in reverse. So let's not resist change that wants to happen. Okay, this is part of our evolution in terms of what we're going through. And so, yes, these revelations might be uncomfortable, but it's facilitating that change, as I mentioned with that trine from the moon to Pluto. So yes, the square from Pluto to Saturn, we might be feeling that it's a bit uncomfortable, understanding it's been a lesson for us. You know, it's ultimately a lesson for us in our strength and our courage, our worth and our values. What are we going to tolerate? You know, if somebody has been deceptive to us, are we going to tolerate that all our lives, or are we going to actually change? So it's understanding that. Same with ourselves. You know, we shine that light of the full moon back on ourselves like a spotlight. And it's like, okay, I need to take responsibility for this. This has been my shadow side coming up. I understand why it's been coming up, but I need to release that fear. I need to release that anxiety. I need to release that self-limiting belief, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to allow for change. So we don't want to resist change through fear. We need to accept what's coming up, transmute accordingly, okay? But we need to accept and acknowledge, because then we're learning the lessons. On the bottom, faith in reverse. This is Empress type energy. This is about birthing something new, but having the faith in your own power to do so. Okay, so there may be some fears relating to that, of course, and the new beginnings that we're wanting to manifest for our lives. Okay, now I mentioned about light and shadow. Okay, so I've got Light Seer's Tarot here, and I've got the Unfolding Path. Now, it's not to say that this is particularly a shadow deck, but I am going to use it as such to get some messages for us, certainly relating to this reading. Okay, let's see what we have from the Unfolding Path for the collective. What does the collective need to know from the Unfolding Tarot? Okay, what we need to know, please, from the Unfolding Path Tarot for the full moon in Gemini. For the full moon in Gemini. I just received from Spirit, the answers are within. Okay. So that is, again, that communication with ourselves. The answer is within. Let's trust it. You know, let's not deceive ourselves. Let's trust it. We've got the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. Feeling a bit out of balance. That one wanted to come out. Wow. Yeah, protecting ourselves here. This is through fear. Okay. So this is why, you know, from a shadow side perspective, okay, if we're looking at that, Wow, they're all, no, they're not. Okay, that's Wands energy. That's Queen of Wands. Okay. Those two. We have got the Three of Wands in reverse, stagnancy, okay, lack of progress, and the High Priestess in reverse. Wow, okay. On the bottom, Eight of Pentacles, and underneath that, Ace of Wands. So a new spark, okay, which could be a connection, it could be a project, it could be just a new beginning that you're passionate about. Think of the sacred flame energy for that. Is actually underneath work and effort. So it's applying work and effort into that which you want, okay, Wands energy. And that, wow, okay, Four of Wands, that's union energy. Okay, so that's going to enable union. Okay, for those that it's speaking to, relating to a soulmate connection, this is about putting the work and effort into something, okay, that you're wanting to allow a new beginning, and that's going to bring union. Okay, if it's not relating to a soulmate connection, if that's not resonating, this is within, you know, the union within. So this is about putting work and effort into what you want to create something new that you're passionate about, and that's going to bring that harmony, that union within. Okay, but what we have, you know, is a situation that's currently out of balance because of fear of holding on to something. Okay, and that could be stability. And Queen of Wands is here to say, you know, let's get things going, let's get things started. That's very sovereign as well. Let's be our sovereign selves and go in the direction of what we want, because there's currently lack of progress, bit of stagnancy, and we need to listen to our intuition. Okay, so that's where the communication ties in, via our intuition. Okay, and sometimes we might not want to hear what our intuition has to say, but just like the shadow side, our intuition doesn't lie to us. Okay, let's go for the Light Seers Tarot and just get some final messages. For the full moon in Gemini. I just saw the Empress. Major Arcana energy. I referenced it before when I saw the face because of the birthing. So birthing something new. It's also very much connected to Venus energy. It's Taurus as well. So this is about knowing your worth as a sovereign being. The Empress embodies all the queens. So very much divine feminine essence of nurturing oneself, but creating, manifesting. We want to release on this full moon, but this is having our manifestations there. You know, this is what we want, so this is what we need to release. Okay, right, let's see. Light Seers Tarot, what do we have? Wow. Okay, so we have a double confirmation here, folks. What did we just see? High Priestess in reverse. What have we got? High Priestess in reverse. Synchronicity from Spirit. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've got to listen to our intuition on this. We've got to listen to our intuition of where we've been deceiving ourselves and where others might have been deceiving us. Because yes, certainly as empathic beings, you know, if that's resonating for you, if you're an empath, caring about people is the number one thing on the job description. Caring about people. And that can be to the detriment of ourselves because we put others before ourselves. Okay, this is going to sound corny. You've probably heard it many times. We need to fill our own cup up first. That can be challenging for an empath because they will give and give and give to other people. So yes, we might be feeling depleted, but if we've made someone else happy, okay, that kind of makes us happy as well. We care about other people. This is about trusting our intuition, you know, in terms of where we might have been deceiving ourselves or where we might have been putting our energy into other people that have been deceiving us. So yes, it might be uncomfortable, but we need to trust our intuition. Okay, let's see what else we have from the Light Seers Tarot. Wow. Okay, Queen of Wands in reverse. So that is a double message with the Queen of Wands, but without listening to our intuition, how can we be empowered to create something that we want? Wow. Maybe that's what we want, a King of Wands in our life. Okay. It's certainly, obviously that's a counterpart connection, but the feminine is in reverse. So that's fear of creation. You know, we might have that inspired action, and Mars is in Sagittarius now. So of course we want to be moving forward with things, but we've got to understand what it is we're trying to create. First of all, that feminine essence, you know, Yeah, an 8 of Swords in reverse. Okay, but this is actually, this probably sums up what I was saying in the astrology, because in reverse in this deck, she's got her eyes open. Okay, pretty sure she has. Yeah, she's got her eyes open. That there, the fear of being trapped by your thoughts, okay, anxious, fearful, is in the mirror. Okay, it's a reflection, but she's actually okay. She might be seeing herself as that because she could be deceiving herself and feeling like she's trapped when she isn't. But this is in reverse. So this is allowing yourself to set yourself free from those illusionary confines. Remember, illusion was one of the shadow signs of Neptune. Removing yourself from any illusionary fears or doubts, okay, freeing yourself from that, liberating yourself from that because of understanding where that's been coming from, either yourself or other people, society, groups of people, whatever it might be. Freeing yourself in that way. Okay. I knew there was one more, and this is a big one, the sun. You do that, liberate yourself from all of that, to feel that, the full expression of self, that you can fully be yourself. Is that person really being herself? No. Is that person really being herself? Yes. And look at that expansive energy. I've mentioned expansion because of Sag. I've mentioned expansion because of Jupiter. It's the inner growth that's going on, freeing yourself from that because of the revelations, the illumination, and then allowing that to be in your external. Okay, you're going to radiate that soul essence once you've got that inner growth and expansion within of holding on to who you are at a core soul level. This is unashamed expression of self, expression of truth. This is me. This is my soul. This is who I am. I'm happy, and I'm going to show you. It's major arcana energy. Okay, so yeah, stagnancy that we saw. Okay, fears coming up, wanting to hold on to something for security and stability. That fear of taking a leap almost because of potentially telling ourselves something that's not true, or listening to things from other people that is not true. Fear of creating something as a result, getting tied into those illusionary thoughts, when actually that's what we need to be. Full embodiment of soul essence. And how do we get there? By listening to our intuition. Okay, powerful. Yeah, and being patient with ourselves, but also allowing ourselves to understand that we plant the seeds that we want to grow, not what other people want us to grow. That's very passionate about that. So, you know, I would encourage you, and I was just reminded by spirit then, okay, and I'll show you. Don't judge me, okay, because this is quite weathered. But this is my lapis lazuli egg. Okay, so double meaning here. This, I'm a Pisces. This enables me to connect into my intuition. And it's very powerful, lapis lazuli, if you know about it. Okay, but also it's an egg. So that symbolizes birthing something new, doesn't it? It's sitting on my moon ring. Okay, and that's not a euphemism. And my moon ring is a bit tatty, but I went to a moon ceremony a good few years ago now, and they had a giant moon in the cathedral. Absolutely stunning. I mean, I resonate with that a lot anyway. Absolutely stunning. Like it was wow. It was as if you were there and the moon was just like right in front of your face. Amazing, massive. It took up the whole kind of, like, you know, height, and you know, it was just amazing. And we got given this wooden ring, and we went to different sections of the cathedral, and we were then asked, there was meditations going on, and we were asked to then tie a different color string around the moon ring to symbolize the different phases of the moon. Okay, and it's a bit tatty because I've had it a good few years, maybe 5 years. But I always put my lapis lazuli egg on it. Okay, so this is about you know, how the moon cycles can enable us to work with that energy to birth something new. And it felt more significant to mention it to you because of the birthing something new, because of the egg shape, but also how that's tied into our intuition. So we need to understand what it is we want to manifest for our lives. We are in control of birthing something new for ourselves. Nobody else is, unless we let them. Okay, and that's giving power away to someone else who might not have the best intentions for us for whatever reason. So enough of that. Okay, this is what we need to release. We need to not resist this change that wants to come in. And you can see on this card, she's kind of like pushing against it, you know, almost not allowing it to come in. But the energy around is so destructive and so powerful in that way that change is going to happen no matter what. So it's better to kind of roll with the tide in that way, to work with the energy, to understand why certain things are coming up, even if it's a painful lesson or a challenging lesson, to understand that we might have been holding ourselves back from something, okay, that could be a beautiful opportunity for us, or other people might be influencing us or might have influenced us to deter us from that beautiful opportunity. And that's, you know, that's probably the point I was trying to make, you know, just before with the empath thing. And I am a Pisces, I do go off on one a bit, but you know, that is just the way it is. I get these insights, I have to sort of say them. So it can be painful, you know, if you're an empath, to actually have that revelation of somebody that you possibly trusted, you know, or kind of didn't think bad of, has now displayed this kind of behavior. And why would somebody want to deter you from your path? That can be quite upsetting, because it's like, I don't wish that on that person, why are they wishing it on me? And when you understand, you start to unpick the layers, and it could relate to past life stuff, it could be a karmic situation, whatever it might be, then you can deal with it and respond accordingly. But you know, we want to restore balance. This is about, you know, we've got Venus in Libra, so reciprocity, it's all about fairness and equal give and take. You know, we want to invest time into situations. Well, if that's not giving us back what we need, or it's giving us a false reality with this deceptive energy, then that's where change is needed. So I guess that's my sort of parting thought on it. I'm sending you love and blessings for this full moon in Gemini. And remember, you know, if these things are being illuminated, it's coming up for a reason, and it can be quite uncomfortable because of the reasons I've just mentioned. Not wanting to believe that somebody who you wouldn't treat in that way has actually treated you in that way. That can be quite uncomfortable, because, you know, you want to care, you almost want to be liked by everybody. And the reality is, you know, potentially we can't be liked by everybody for whatever reason. And these things, you know, when you dive deeper into soulmate connections with others from past lives, the lessons that are actually coming out and what we're discovering. Remember, we're in Sag season, so it's discovery, it's learning, it's a quest. It's all for our highest good, to empower us to move forward. But we've got to understand why these things are coming up, because perhaps it's highlighting something that we need to kind of heal. You know, we need to rectify, we need to have a conversation. You know, that could be another thing. Full moon in Gemini, it could be facilitating communication that's quite uncomfortable, because something does need to be addressed in that way. So again, you know, take it as it resonates, if it does at all. And I'm sending you all the best for this full moon energy. Go with the illumination, work with what you need to release. And of course, then, you know, we've got these other things happening, as I mentioned, and certainly as we build up to the next new moon, which will be new moon in Sag in a couple of weeks' time. You know, if we've been releasing, we can then manifest in what we want in terms of what we've learned and what we want to expand. Sagittarius energy, remember? Focus on the inner growth, the inner expansion that Jupiter's teaching us, and also, you know, allowing us to become more at one with our shadow, so that when certain situations arise that are similar, we can recognize straight away, right, that's a shadow aspect, I need to deal with it. Yeah, good. Right, sending you love and blessings. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. All the best.